This problem gambling learning module will focus on several aspects of gambling. We will review general gaming information, what problem gambling is, the warning signs of problem gambling, national and state data regarding problem gambling, responsible gambling tips, and the state's no out-of-pocket cost treatment for gamblers and their loved ones. How is gambling defined? Gambling is the wagering of money or something of value on an event with an uncertain outcome, with the primary intent of winning money or material goods. Three things must be present for an activity to be considered gambling. The first is consideration, something in exchange for something else. The second is a prize. A prize is something tangible that you may earn or win. And finally, the third item is the element of chance, something that happens unpredictably. Here is a bit of information on several forms of gambling. Casinos. Kansas has a total of 9 casinos, including tribal and state-owned facilities. 40 states currently have casino gambling, including Kansas. Social gaming can be considered gambling. Games such as Candy Crush Saga are engineered to force the player to play multiple rounds of the same level before advancing, or purchasing special game pieces to help them advance quickly. Sports betting is allowed in Nevada, Delaware, Oregon, and Montana, but is illegal in all other states. Internet gambling is limited and is mostly illegal. Bingo is particularly popular with seniors. Churches, schools, and other organizations host raffles to raise money. Bingo and raffles are both considered a form of gambling. Betting on horse races, greyhounds, and car races are forms of gambling. Fantasy sports is a controversial activity. Some consider it to be gambling, while others a game of skill. In the state of Kansas, by law, it is a game of skill. The lottery is also a popular method of gambling. Most people don't consider themselves to be participating in a gambling activity while playing the lottery. Scratch tickets and pick your drawings are examples of lottery gambling games. Sports pools are popular throughout the United States. When popular large sporting events such as the Super Bowl, March Madness, and the World Series are taking place, you can be sure that illegal gambling is taking place too. Poker and card games are a commonly recognized form of gambling. These games include Texas Hold'em, blackjack, and several others. Illegal gambling can take place in many forms: animal fighting, gray slot machines in businesses, backhouse poker games, and other activities are all illegal forms of gambling. This list of gambling shows some of the more popular forms of gambling activities and is not all-inclusive. Most people have admitted to doing some form of gambling at some point in their lives. When looking at types of gamblers, 4 groups of people have been identified: abstainers, recreational or social gamblers, problem, at-risk, or in-transition gamblers, and those with a gambling disorder. Abstainers are those who have never gambled in their lives and make up about 10% of the general population. Recreational or social gamblers are people who occasionally gamble as a form of entertainment. Their mode of gambling varies, and they make up about 80 to 85% of the general population. The problem, at-risk, or in-transition gamblers make up about 5% of the population and experience some adverse consequences due to their gambling. They have never been evaluated or diagnosed as having a gambling disorder. Disordered gamblers are those who meet the diagnostic criteria for a gambling disorder and experience severe consequences because of their gambling. They make up about 1% of the population. Within people who gamble, there are 2 categories of gamblers: action gamblers and escape gamblers. Action gamblers are often male, competitive, play games of skill, and they seek the rush of gambling. Escape gamblers are often female and can include older adults. They tend to be less competitive, passive, and play games of luck. Skill games are typically played by action gamblers. Action gamblers like to socialize when they gamble and tend to play games like blackjack, poker, and sports betting, which are skill games. Luck games, such as slot machines, bingo, and keno, are typically played by escape gamblers, who are usually more reserved and are seeking a form of escape. So, what exactly is problem gambling? Gambling behavior which causes disruptions in any major area of life, psychological, physical, social, or vocational. Any of these signs indicate that a person has started to slip from being a social gambler to a problem gambler. Being informed of the signs and dangers of problem gambling can help a person or their concerned others identify the problem and seek out treatment before the problem grows. Withdrawal from family and friends. Hiding gambling losses from family members. Talks only about wins, not losses. Secrecy or deception when asked about gambling or finances. Liquidation of assets. Gambling can start innocently. Maybe it's a lottery ticket or a trip to a casino. A lucky streak can get somebody hooked, and after that, no amount of winning or losing will get them to quit without help. Here are some warning signs that you or someone close to you may be developing a gambling addiction. Missing personal or household items. Intense interest in gambling-related matters. Late notices or telephone calls from creditors. Failed attempts to cut back or stop gambling. Like any addiction, problem gambling is a complex disorder. Many factors can contribute to its development. There are certain populations which are considered more at risk for developing gambling problems, including adolescents, minorities, older adults, the incarcerated, casino employees, people with substance use disorders, and people with lower socioeconomic status. Co-occurring disorders and addictions are common with people who struggle with problem gambling. Problem gambling has been associated with serious mental illness, sometimes as the result of an untreated mental illness. Alcohol dependence, drug misuse, depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder are among the other frequent co-occurring conditions. The National Council on Problem Gambling reports that 1 in 5 problem gamblers have attempted suicide. This link between problem gambling and suicide cannot be ignored. When looking at addiction and suicide together, it's important to note that problem gamblers have the highest rate of suicide than any other addiction. People who struggle with gambling problems may experience serious social, emotional, financial, and health consequences. For many, coping with the negative emotions relating to these issues can become overwhelming. Feelings of shame, hopelessness, and failure may seem too hard to bear. For some, suicide appears to be a solution to these problems. The gambling industry can present the illusion that a person can control chance, but this is not true. Chance does not discriminate, and as the house always has the advantage, the chance of winning is slim. Many problem gamblers go through a winning phase when they first started gambling, and winning gave them the sense of euphoria. This is when gambling can become a problem. Here are some basic guidelines to help promote responsible gambling. Never borrow money to gamble. Always gamble with others. Learn about the potential for addiction. And never bet more than you can afford to lose. Holding out the hope that luck will remain or return is what keeps problem gamblers playing, despite negative impact. Here are some more guidelines to maintain appropriate gambling behaviors. Learn the warning signs of problem gambling. Do not gamble to cope with emotional or physical pain. Include a variety of recreational activities in your life. And remember, the house always has the advantage. Kansas offers no out-of-pocket cost treatment for problem gamblers and their loved ones through the Problem Gambling and Other Addictions Fund. Confidential, no-cost assistance is available by calling the Kansas Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-522-4700. Translation into any language is available. The Kansas Voluntary Self-Exclusion Program is a voluntary program. Individuals can sign up at all of the state-owned casinos in Kansas. The participants' information is strictly confidential, and they can choose to participate for 2 years or for lifetime. They are subject to a criminal trespass charge if they are identified inside a state-owned casino. Any winnings will be seized. The It Matters campaign is sponsored by the Kansas Department for Aging and Disability Services, KDADS. KDADS helps communities understand the extent and cause of multiple behavioral health concerns, including substance use, depression, suicide, and problem gambling. The goal is to empower communities with tools and resources to make a positive change. The It Matters materials are available for local prevention coalitions and groups. Problem gambling can be detrimental to a person's health and quality of life. Relationship problems, job loss, debt and money loss, crime, depression, and suicide are just a few of the potential consequences of living with a gambling problem. Education and treatment are critical to overcome a gambling problem. By informing communities about problem gambling and sharing resource information, we can decrease the negative consequences of problem gambling in Kansas.